generation, two Prose bros are born, chosen to watch every episode of Buffy and tell you what they think about them. This is the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. Hello and welcome to the Season 1 overview. We're not going to actually talk about an episode this time, right, Geoff?
Nope.
No, we're going to actually just talk about the entire first season. We just finished doing that, so let's talk about what we felt about it.
Hey, I just want to say, we did it, man.
We did it, man. We made it all the way through Season 1, and nobody cared, because Season 1 fucking sucked.
Do you think now people are going to be like, hey, are you done with Season 1? Can we be on the show?
I hope people are like, hey, are you done with Season 1? We'll start listening now.
I've been trying to advertise this show as a show, even if you don't like Buffy, you should still check out, because we will just ruin an episode with a poorly done synopsis of an episode. So you don't need to know what's going on. We will tell you what's going on.
We'll spoil everything for you, and in the midst of it, there'll be fart jokes, and I'll say something really racist, and then roll back on it. Geoff will be there to watch me and tell me that was out of line. There's all sorts of stuff that's great about this podcast, man.
A lot of political talk.
Yeah, man. I mean, fuck.
I feel like we're doing an ad for this show now.
Yeah, I think that we just did an ad for a show. So you should listen to it. And if you're listening to it right now, I'm sorry. So let's get into it. Season 1. Overall, let's just go overall. What did you think about Season 1, Jeffrey?
Not as bad as what I remembered it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm the opposite.
Oh, wow.
I really... it was not as good as I thought it was. And when we went into this, I was like, oh, Geoff thinks it's going to be horrible. It can't be that bad. And then once we started listening and watching the episodes, at first I was kind of like, oh, that episode wasn't as bad as I remember it and blah, blah, blah. But looking back and then also listening to the podcast because we edit them. Yeah, I was really trying to make lemonade out of lemons. Or not having lemons. I don't know how that idiom goes, but
making lemonade out of lemons.
No. Okay, well, you can't take chicken shit and make lemonade.
Yeah, that's correct.
So at the end of it, I have to say that this season was pretty bad, and also I have to say that a lot of your commentaries about it also skewed my thinking, because a lot of time, like when you were like, it's really full of monster of the weeks, and I was like, you know what, it is full of monster. I don't like that.
That's funny, because I feel the opposite with you being, I feel like almost more so of a cheerleader for the first season than I was going
Absolutely
in.
I was.
And I was like, it does have its gems. It
brought
brought in Snyder. There's a lot of interesting Xander moments.
It has redeemable qualities. But no, but by the end, I was on the opposite train. I did not enjoy this season.
Oh, so
I enjoy doing it. I enjoy hanging out with you. I enjoy talking about it.
You don't have to say you enjoy hanging out with me. It wasn't like something that I was like, oh, if he didn't like this season, it's because he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore, and the podcast is done.
Oh, well, if the opposite was said from you to me, I would immediately think that. That's pretty horrible. Well, let's get into another thing. I want to talk about Xander. When we first watched the show, I found myself relatable to Xander. When I was younger, I thought I was Xander. We were all Xanders, right?
He's like the geek everyman.
Yeah, you're like you. It feels like you. You're the nerdy guy that doesn't have his place in the world, that's in love with the beautiful girl that'll never get her. And now I think Xander is a whiny, annoying, semi-racist, misogynistic asshole.
Oh, okay.
Too far.
Yeah,
too far.
You're going to have to explain that last
also,
part.
Trump is Hitler. Well, that might end up being true. Okay, well,
I mean, we are, I'm
going to give you an alternate one.
Okay.
I think Xander is a whiny little bitch about a lot of things, and also he comes off in a negative light that I didn't see upon my first watching. I no longer feel the connection to him I once did.
Okay, so what aspects would you say are particularly negative?
I think that he doesn't accept rejection very well, and that's something that when I first watched it and I was 16, I can completely agree with.
Because a 16-year-old wouldn't take rejection well.
But at 34 years old, I'm just like, get over it.
But Xander is not a 34-year-old man.
But I am. And I have to watch season 1.
Nicholas Brendan may be a 34-year-old man.
No, he's like a 50-year-old man. At the time he was. He was about 35. He had sweet abs.
But you can't... I mean, you wouldn't just say, okay, I understand. This is what it was like at 16.
I agree. I agree with that. You can definitely say that. In my head, I have a hard time doing that. I have a hard time now relating to younger people.
Yeah?
I get why parents are so like, oh, you'll get over that. Because, yeah, everything feels like a phase now that I went through.
And I sound like an old man saying this, but I agree. What really fucking annoys me is that with a lot of younger people, you almost can't have a conversation without them staring at their phones. Like, can I just talk to you and can you look at me? Like, look me in the fucking eye, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just the fact that I don't know where I was going with that. Also, just the fact that, like, having lived our lives and being 34, because you're 34 too.
No,
incorrect. No, you're 33 right now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, you're coming up, man.
You know, it's fine. You can say if I've learned anything.
We just won't post this until April 21st.
We weren't. If I've learned anything from Trump, we're living in a post-truthful world, so you can just say whatever the fuck you want.
All right, you're 56, and being 56, you've gone through a lot. I now understand why my father got so angry at me when I didn't heed his advice.
Oh, it's because you were a turd.
Yeah, and I feel like we just got through this election. And all these millennials were just like, meh, 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 because this whole generation of people have been taught that they're special. And I think they just realize that they're not special and they can't save the world. And I remember what it was like losing the 2000 election, the first election I had ever voted in. And being like, you know, we voted for a piece of shit. Because George W. Bush was a piece of shit. I mean, Donald Trump is a racist, misogynistic douchebag, way worse than George W. Bush.
He's not even on the same scale.
But I used to have a fucking shirt that said "Not My President" that had George W. Bush's face on it. Now I want to give that guy a hug and, you know, really just be like, I'm really sorry I was so hard on you. Hard on. I said hard on.
We should be hard on presidents.
Like, absolutely. I think that's 100%. But you know what? When we're hard on presidents, we shouldn't have them tweeting. This is monumentally different.
I don't mind the tweets, but you need to be held accountable for things you say. And I think it's fucking bullshit. At any job, at my job, if you start saying random bullshit to customers,
you get fired.
Well, nobody gets fired at my job. But like somebody, you'll get a talking to. You just can't make shit up. But apparently you can.
Yeah.
You can.
This is giving the wrong example to a lot of people, in my opinion. And I mean, we've seen I don't know. I just really think that I'm sick and tired of this divisive idea of like, well, they call, you know, black people the N-word, so I'm going to call them crackers, or like this, like us versus them. Like, when are we going to realize that we're all in this together? And
we're all just people, man.
Like, yeah, we're all just people. We're all just trying to make it through this horrible, horrible existence.
And I wouldn't say I feel the opposite, but I am very divisive against, I would say, not necessarily class, but it's poor versus rich, and fuck the rich. because I'm not.
Yeah, and I don't really think there's a way for us to be rich. I just had a daughter, so I haven't slept in the last 4 days. And I think about that. I think about what conversations I'll have with her in 15 years about presidents, about who we are, about who she is. I wonder what screen she'll be looking at when I'm talking to her. And it's a pretty, right now it seems bleak.
And it's fucked up. You had a baby girl, and her first president is going to be the dude who grab her by the pussy.
Yeah. And that was the option against the first female president.
Yeah, she could have been born into like, women can do anything. They can even be president. It's like,
meanwhile in South Korea, the first president is probably going to be impeached that was a female. It's the whole world's upside down, and I don't know how to make it right, and I'm sick and tired of everybody fighting. So I at least want to stop the fighting, and it seems like people I actually respect, all they want to do is fight. All they want to do is name call. All they want to do is continue to act to meet Donald Trump, like say like, oh, I'll see your racism and misogyny and raise you.
Did you read or see that they defaced MCA Adam Yauch? I think that was the name.
From Beastie Boys?
Beastie Boys, yeah. He had, I don't know if it's like a little statue or something, a memorial in some park in New York, and they defaced it with some anti-Semitic tagging or whatever. Isn't that fucked up?
That's really fucked up, man. But that's just because in the face of seeing Donald Trump, we called every white person a racist asshole. And it's just name calling. It's back and forth. It's what anti-Semites want you to do. It's what racist people want you to do. A lot of people don't know what the Turner Diaries are. It's a book that usually white supremacists read that talks about the race war. It's what Charles Manson tried to incite, essentially. He tried to incite the race war, right? Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City bombings, that's what he was trying to incite. White supremacists want you to fight them because they want to start the race war because they think they're going to win. And then after that, there'll be no other racists or whatever. And we're just playing into it. I listened to this thing that Oprah did. I used to hate Oprah when I was younger. It was like I hated self-improvement. If you want to self-improve yourself, I always thought just read novels, just whatever. But now I'm just like, we're just all trying to make it in this world. Read whatever you want. This thing that Oprah said that once she had the show in the 80s, it was really like more of a Jerry
Springer?
More of a Jerry Springer type show. She had a bunch of white supremacists on, and she realized halfway through the show that they were using her as a medium to get their hate speech out. And they wanted people to be mad at them because the more we're mad at something, the more time we give it, the more we talk about it. And that's what happened with Trump. We hated him so much that our hatred kept him on TV. Our hatred kept him in the news. Now to the point where he is the news and he is TV because all we can do is talk about him. And we should have never allowed that to happen.
Well, because, at first it was funny.
I sound like a fucking hippie. And there's one thing I haven't stopped hating, man. Fucking hippies.
I don't think you sound like a hippie. Can I say this before we get
off?
Yeah,
absolutely.
The whole Trump thing. Mm-hmm. This is more of an observation that has nothing to do with politics, but I feel that Donald Trump Jr. looks like he could be an extra in American Psycho.
I completely agree with that. I think that American Psycho is based on his life. He looks like the bad guy from Mr. Robot to me.
Yeah.
Like the big time hacker, smart CEO guy or wannabe CEO.
He does.
Yeah.
I think Eric Trump looks like that guy.
Fuck that guy. Okay, so and I just after talking about all that stuff about don't use hate and whatever, my end is fuck that guy.
I'm gonna grab a beer.
All right. So back to Xander. Geoff, what did you think about Xander this season?
Man, I still think he was just a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah, it's something maybe I'm being too hard on him, thinking about it in the mindset of a 34-year-old man as opposed to a 16-year-old boy who loves Xander. I used to love Xander. I still love Xander. I just don't love him in season 1.
You know, I think it's easier. Well, let me say this. The older you get, the harder it is to relate to that, 16-year-old boy has a crush on this girl, wants to impress her, won't. And of course, she's into the older dude, the
250-year-old?
Yeah, the 250-year-old vampire, dark,
of course she is.
Brooding.
Smirky.
Yeah, on date nights has velvety
wearing.
And then leather.
Let's just call him what he is, a complete douchebag. 17-year-old girls love douchebags.
I mean, he's a vampire. Of course he'd be vain.
Yeah, vain. That's where he eats.
That's where he eats.
All right, well, let me tell you a couple things that really, really popped out about Xander in this season. I really didn't ever consider the fact that Xander was the first person to sexually assault Buffy until rewatching this. And yes, he was possessed by a hyena, but I ask you this question. Was the hyena possession simply amplifying his desires, or were they creating new desires within him? And if Xander had a power, would he become power hungry because of this? Did they just simply give him powers and he lost it?
That kind of reminds me. So you're talking about the Pack episode.
Yes.
That reminds me of a discussion people have about alcoholics, right? Is it really that person doing that? Is it the fact that, oh, well, they would do this anyway, it's just taking away inhibitions, or is it something else that is taking over?
Well, if I was talking about alcoholism, I would say that it's not an amplification. I don't believe you become truthful when you become drunk. I think you become angrier.
So maybe that might be the case with this possession of this hyena. Who knows how it affects somebody? I mean, it's goddamn Buffy. There's no science behind it. I would like to think, and I think this is where we disagree, I would like to think that it was that animal being not enhancing any thought of his own, but that possessed him. And again, that's kind of an easy way of saying like, oh, Xander's not, it's not his fault. He was possessed. Granted, he does remember everything, but, just like drinking too much.
And he did have a desire for Buffy. I mean, he did want her.
Yeah.
But he was also mean to Willow and Willow. All right. Yeah. So the second question, if Xander had powers, do you think those powers would go to his head and he would be kind of a bad guy?
I don't know about bad guy, but he would be a very different person. Because Xander's always the grounded one. Mm-hmm. He's the one that never gets powers.
Yeah. That is almost his power. Is like being the only one that doesn't have any incredible responsibility and or option of turning evil. Because that's what Willow does.
I feel like he's like the Hawkeye of Buffy, if we're talking Avengers.
Except without the sweet bow skills.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hawkeye has skills, but he doesn't have any superhuman powers. He did all that.
Yeah, true that. Xander does eventually in the comic books become more of a Nick Fury kind of person, which I liked.
Well, mostly because the eye patch, right?
Yeah. Well, the eye patch helps, but he literally becomes more of a guy that's in charge of an organization. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. How about we talk about our favorite episode and our least favorite episode?
All right.
Right on. What was your favorite episode?
I would say my favorite episode was, honestly, Welcome to the Hellmouth.
Me too. Episode 1.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. It was fun. It was good to revisit. it was done well. I completely agree with you.
Can I say going in, I thought it was going to be Prophecy Girl. And then I rewatched it and I was like, this episode is kind of garbage.
You know, Prophecy Girl felt rushed. We talked about that when we...
Yeah, because they needed to end the season. And I completely understand why they did what they did. It's like, fuck, we may not get another season. Let's close up as much as we can right now. And there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in Prophecy Girl because they didn't think they were going to have another shot at it.
Yeah, and thinking back, that episode felt so epic. And the truth was, when you watch it, it's really not. It's not at all. At all. Yeah, so that's also my favorite. What was your least favorite? Was it Prophecy Girl?
No, because it still had some gems. I liked Prophecy Girl wasn't bad. I want to say, I don't know. It might be. I think it might be I, Robot You, Jane.
That was pretty bad. That sucks because it was fun to have MJ on the podcast. That wouldn't be mine, but at the same time, MJ and I talked through so much of that episode that I don't really have a bad experience in my head from it. I was just not paying enough attention for it to be a bad episode.
I feel that it was a weaker episode than both Puppet Show and The Witch.
I completely agree that those are the top three for me. I have to go Puppet Show. Puppet Show was my least favorite.
Really? Because you were like, you were talking about how much you liked Puppet Show, or is that not? All right, okay. So not that you liked it, that it wasn't as bad as you remembered.
Yes, but that didn't put it up and over the worst episode. There's a lot of reasons why I ended up hating that the most. I would say that it lacked in every respect, including special effects. The fact that the puppet was so shitty. I don't know, though. The witch was so bad, but I remember, yeah, the witch was really bad, too. God, can I just say that the first season was just not very good?
I feel like I influenced a lot of your thought here. I think with the Puppet Show, because originally you got me to like the Puppet Show
more, and you got me to hate it more. It's awful. The biggest thing I think right now that I'm getting at is that my tastes have gotten a lot better since I was a kid. This show was my favorite show, and when it first came out, I this season I loved it. It was great. I don't understand. I mean, I guess in hindsight, after watch, you know what ruined the season for me? Breaking Bad. Since Breaking Bad, I have a whole new ideal for what a show should be, and when I see the season, I'm just saying it's incredibly flawed. But if that had never come out,
yeah, no, man, I'm not even gonna get into that mindset, because it's two different genres, and it's not you just can't compare the two. You can't.
Well, I will say that I don't really think that I hate Puppet Show more than The Witch or I, Robot You, Jane. I just think that they're all pretty bad. I guess what I'm really getting into here is my least favorite episode is the fact that Monster of the Week is this whole season.
And it's kind of sad, too, because with the other seasons, there are kick-ass episodes. I don't think there's a single episode. Well, I did like Welcome to the Hellmouth the best. I don't feel like there was one episode that were like, this episode is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I would say
there's no
Welcome
Hush.
to the Hellmouth.
There's no Once More with Feeling. There's no episode where you could tell that the writing and the directing and the acting was all on the same page the way that it ended up being on this show. The reason why this season is everybody's least favorite season is because the love is not there yet.
Also, can I ask you this? Mm-hmm. What's your least favorite season of Breaking Bad?
I don't remember.
I'll tell you. It's the first.
Oh, yeah.
If you go back, the first is super weak compared to
You know
what
what's
it
crazy
ends.
is that I remember the first episode being like this grand, amazing thing, and when I went to go back, or went back to watch it, I almost fell asleep.
That's what happens. It's pilots. It's the first season. You look at, even a show like Game of Thrones, where
Yeah, that first season's hard to watch now.
I was super into it.
Yeah.
Like instantly. And I was like, oh man, this first episode is great. This is one of the best pilots, first episodes I've seen. Mm-hmm. You go back and watch it again, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is kind of garbage. It's a pilot. They're like describing stuff that is so unnecessary. Like Catelyn Stark doesn't have to be all like, oh, there's Jon Snow, my bastard, the bastard son of my husband. Like it's too much exposition, and that's what always happens in first episodes.
And I have to say
seasons.
that, like, when my friends watch it now and they're not blown away, and I'm like, why not? And they'll be like, it's kind of horrible, or I have no idea what's going on. And thinking back, I'm like, you know what? I really kind of trudged through the first season not really understanding what the fuck was going on. And it wasn't until like the further I got, the more of grounding you get in that show or any show. But the first season's always rough.
Okay, so you didn't ever say what was your least favorite. What is your least favorite?
I mean, I guess now thinking about it, I did like the puppet at the beginning. The witch was really bad. The witch was really, really bad. Yeah, probably the witch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see it. I liked the camp value of the witch more.
I like
so.
the way that it ended, where the mom's just in a statue forever. That's really morbid and horrible. But other than that, there's just very little redeemable qualities.
Oh, I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but Buffy under the spell, kind of drunk, Cordelia being blind and trying to drive.
That was good. There are redeemable qualities.
And I feel like iRobot You, Jane, had the least redeemable qualities. And I hate that.
What about Fritz's monologue?
That's terrible, dude. That's real.
No, it was amazing.
Okay, so take
if
it
you're
back.
not jacked
That was kind of funny, but it really dates a show when you start talking about technology, and that was like that. Fuck, man, that
was
episode.
pretty bad. Yeah. Well, speaking of Cordelia, one of the best things about the first season, in my opinion, Cordelia, she did great. You can really tell why she became a standout. I'm not sure if she was gonna be the character that they ended up making her, like crossing over into Angel, completely redeeming herself by the time she leaves the show Buffy. Cordelia really killed it.
Yes.
I think that she's probably, in my opinion, the strongest character and the strongest actor in the first season.
More so than Buffy?
I think that they're on par. I would say that Cordelia pulls off her character more and understands it more.
I would say supporting character, yes.
Yeah. Buffy did kill it. Sarah Michelle Gellar really did cement herself as Buffy in the first season, and she did a great job acting. Actually, all the Scoobies did.
It's difficult for me because Joyce Summers, the actress who plays Joyce Summers, I think it's Christine Sutherland, she always does an amazing fucking job. Yeah. We didn't really see much of her. There's so few scenes, so she has to do so much with so little. And the overall story arc of the season is supposed to be Buffy being a slayer and still trying to be a average teenager. That's what it is, right? And struggles with your parents are a huge fucking thing. So every scene with Joyce Summers is fucking awesome. It feels so organic. It feels real. And it feels so real that I think sometimes we take that for granted.
Yeah. What do you think about Giles this season?
Giles, okay, so Giles is always good, but at the beginning of the season, it's almost like Angel, where they didn't know what to do with him yet.
Where they were going, yeah.
Initially, I feel that They wanted him to be almost giddy at the fact that it's a hellmouth and there's a lot of people dying, which was very, very strange. And then later on, he starts to sort of care for Buffy. You feel it, but not like you do in later seasons.
I agree. And I also gained a lot more respect for Wesley based on Giles's performance here. Like, I now understand, you know, when Wesley first comes out into the show, you really hate him. You don't really get that with Giles because Giles, by that point, has set a bar for Wesley. But you realize, like, going back to the first season, that Giles was Wesley in this season. He was a new guy that's super excited to be a watcher.
True. But again, first season, they don't know. Wesley, the actor who played Wesley, had the benefit, the ability to learn from other seasons and from other actors.
So yeah, going in blind, way harder. I definitely think that this isn't the season where I fell in love with Giles.
You fell in love with him?
I'm completely in love with him. Dude, Ripper? Come on, dude. That episode with Band Candy? Poof.
Dude, you love that episode.
I love that episode.
It's a good episode.
It's a great episode, man.
Oh.
Yeah. That it just fleshed out so many things about every character. It goes back to that whole millennial talk of like not understanding kids. You really get a sense of that.
So, you want to talk about the deaths? You got anything else to say?
I don't know. I'm excited for the second season. I'm excited to get into the meat of the mythology that is Buffy. I'm excited to get on to episodes that I truly love and remember loving and have seen since and move on from season 1.
Can I tell you this? I have a prediction. I don't think we're moving on just yet.
Yeah.
I feel like season 2 is going to be similar to season 1.
It ain't Nirvana's Nevermind.
I like In Utero way better, but that's just me.
All right.
Yeah. So season 2, I feel is going to be a little bit more of the same and a little bit better until it starts to get to the end. And I feel what hooked me on the show was season 3. I
agree completely. And, well, I guess I'm not excited anymore.
I'm sorry.
Shit all over. At the end of season 2, I'm going to be like, I'm totally excited. Because, like, we're just arguing to the point where we just switch personalities. Actually, we face off. And
we
faced off. Like, I'm actually Geoff right now, and you're Eddie.
Oh,
say something stupid.
Wow. All right, so the deaths.
Death count. Right. Time, death toll times. My new song. Death toll time. No, I didn't make it. I didn't make a new song.
You want to try it again?
Death toll. Death toll. There's so much death and going on in the world.
I like it.
Yeah, thanks.
Good.
I've been working really hard on it.
So we had some, there's some deaths that were up for debate. Mm-hmm. But on the ones we agreed upon, so let me give you the total. There were a total of 40 deaths this season.
That's way more than I thought.
Yeah. I guess I didn't remember how many deaths I thought there were.
It felt like every episode at the end of it, I thought there'd be more deaths than there actually were.
No, man, there were 4 fucking episodes with no deaths.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I'm still surprised that we got to 40 based on that.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some episodes, tons of deaths. So, 40 deaths, 6 vampire deaths, and there was a bunch of random potential master deaths that I didn't include because motherfucker kept killing people off screen.
Yeah, or poking their eyes out, which just leaves a lot of mystery to what...
You poke a vampire's eyes out and you never see him again.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that guy, I mean, either he's wandering around Sunnydale blind or he's dead.
It's just, he's double eye patching it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So 16 vampire deaths, 3 demon deaths, and 21 human deaths.
Wow. Humans lost this season.
They totally did.
Wow.
Buffy was responsible for 11 of those deaths
All right.
that we know of.
Just joking.
No human.
Vampire and
But yeah,
demon.
a quarter of the deaths go to Buffy. So Buffy wins.
Right on. She's a murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since later on they established that demons aren't all bad.
The weird thing is, like, the Master was almost kind of like Charles Manson about it. Mm-hmm. You could say he was responsible for a lot more deaths, but he didn't actually do it.
Yeah, you could totally say that. Yeah, I agree with that. I miss Luke. I really wish they had brought back Luke. I'm going to miss that buff butterface.
He comes back as another demon.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He does.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about...
He's in season 2. He's a blue demon that they put together.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do I want to talk about what?
Do you want to talk about the Master any? Just the big bad of the season?
I really wish that they had brought him back in some other respect. I really think that he was underused. He's one of my favorite parts of the first season. You don't really get a scope of his power, and the fact that both he and Buffy, remember when he kills Buffy, he's the only one that actually does what he set out to do, and then gets beaten by Buffy, but it's a season 1 Buffy, and we have talked about the fact that she gets stronger as the series progresses. So if he came back season 4, would he be no match for her? I really think that he was dealt a bad hand, and I really like to see it, the deck shuffled again.
Well, the cool thing is we get to see the Master do, is it weird to say cameos?
Yeah.
But cameos throughout the rest of the series and even in Angel. So we get a little more of a backstory, but he's still so mysterious. He's a super powerful vampire. Other vampires respect him. He may be a pedophile, which I don't know. I think is like, it's weird to say kind of neat. Is kind of neat.
I mean, it worked for Freddy Krueger.
I mean, yeah, I love Michael Jackson's music, so it wouldn't be the first time that I liked a pedophile.
Damn. Yeah. The principal from Ferris Bueller was really good in Howard the Duck.
And Ravenous.
And Ravenous, which is an upcoming episode with our homeboy Cecil, but on a different podcast that's in the same podcast as this one. It's just the regular ones. Anyway, yeah. Oh, no. Final thoughts. I'm excited to move on. I'm really happy we got this far. And season 1 kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. I knew you'd come back and throw that in my face.
So we can't, we can be hard on Buffy, and we can even say Breaking Bad.
Not like Xander was hard on Buffy.
That's a rapey joke.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm probably going to edit that out. Or at least say that I'm going to edit that out and leave that in the podcast, because I do that a lot.
Depends how funny it is.
Yeah, probably not that funny. I didn't laugh. If I don't laugh at my own joke, it's obviously not that funny, because I...
Is that the metric?
Yeah, for me.